Welcome to my YouTube channel Family Drama Files. Please like, share, subscribe for more emotional videos.
The first time I met my fiance's parents, I could tell within seconds that they were judging me. They looked at my simple clothes, my quiet personality, and the fact that I said I worked as a nurse. What they did not know was that I had deliberately left out one important detail. I was actually the chief surgeon at one of the most respected private hospitals in the city. I thought keeping my position secret would protect my relationship from money and status. Instead, one hospital emergency exposed everything in front of the very people I had been trying to impress. My name is Carter, and I had spent most of my adult life building a career in medicine. By 38, I had become the chief surgeon at one of the busiest private hospitals in Chicago. My days were filled with difficult operations, emergency calls, long nights, and decisions that could change a patient's life in minutes. I was proud of my work, but I never wanted my job title to become my identity. Then I met Ryan Mitchell. Ryan was different from the men I had dated before. He never cared about expensive restaurants or impressive job titles. He liked quiet dinners, long drives, and simple weekends. After 2 years together, he proposed. I said yes. There was only one problem. His parents were extremely wealthy and very focused on status. Before I met them, Ryan warned me that his father was traditional, and his mother cared deeply about reputation. I laughed and told him I could handle it. At dinner, his mother asked me what I did for a living. I smiled and said I worked as a nurse. It was not exactly the truth. I had started my career as a nurse before becoming a doctor, but I intentionally gave them the simpler answer. His mother immediately relaxed. She looked at me and said, "A nurse. That sounds respectable." His father nodded but then asked where I worked. I gave him the name of the hospital without mentioning my position. Then his mother said something I would never forget. Ryan could have married someone with a much more impressive future. I looked at Ryan. He looked embarrassed. I simply smiled and said, I am happy with who I am. For the rest of the evening, they treated me like someone who was beneath their family. I could have corrected them. I could have told them that I led the surgical department at that very hospital, but I stayed silent. I wanted Ryan to know that I loved him for him, not for his family. 2 weeks later, everything changed. It was a Friday evening when my phone rang. While Ryan and I were having dinner, the hospital had a major emergency. A wealthy businessman had suffered a sudden medical crisis, and the surgical team needed me immediately. I rushed to the hospital. What I did not know was that Ryan and his parents were already there. His father had been brought in after collapsing at a private event. When I entered the emergency department, I saw Ryan standing beside his mother. His face went pale when he saw me wearing my surgical scrubs. Then a nurse ran toward me. "Dr. Carter, the operating room is ready. The team is waiting for you." Ryan stared at me. His mother looked confused. His father was being prepared for emergency surgery. I walked toward the operating room and suddenly heard Ryan behind me. "Emily, what is going on?" I stopped. For the first time, there was no reason to hide. I turned around and said, "I never told you I was a nurse because I was ashamed of being a surgeon. I told you because I wanted to know whether your family would respect me without knowing my title." His mother looked shocked. Then the head nurse approached and said, "Dr. Carter, we are ready for you." Ryan finally understood. The woman his parents had looked down on was the surgeon responsible for leading his father's operation. I entered the operating room. The surgery was long and extremely difficult. I will not describe the medical details because what happened afterward mattered far more. Hours later, I walked out. Ryan was waiting. His mother stood behind him with tears in her eyes. She looked at me and said, "Why did you hide this from us?" I answered quietly, "Because I wanted to know if you would see me as a person before you saw my position." Nobody spoke. Then Ryan stepped forward and said something that changed everything. "My parents judged you because they thought your job made you ordinary. They never realized that being ordinary was never the problem. Their attitude was, his father survived." The next morning, his mother came to my office. She apologized. She admitted that she had judged me before knowing anything about me. I told her I accepted her apology. But I also told her something important. A title can disappear in one day. Money can disappear in 1 year. Reputation can change overnight. But the way you treat people, when you think they have nothing to offer you, reveals who you really are. That conversation changed our relationship forever. I eventually married Ryan, and his parents never again introduced me as just a nurse. But I never corrected them when they called me Carter, because that was the title that mattered most. I spent years becoming a surgeon, but that night taught me something my career never could. The most important test of character is not how someone treats the powerful. It is how they treat the person they believe has nothing to offer them. If someone only respects you after discovering your money, position, or success, they were never truly respecting you.